What's up, guys? Double Dog Gamer here. We're back with more War Thunder, and this time we're doing a sim battle in the IS-1, of course with no HUD. That's the greatest thing ever, and I'm glad to see that Gaijin's actually pushing that out there with realistic and sim battle events where there's no HUD. I think it's a great addition to the game. I like what they're doing. But what we're actually going to talk about today is the next update for War Thunder. There's a lot of really cool things that are being added in for the next update, and they're definitely long-awaited things and some surprising things, which I really think are going to change the way the game is played and how people look at it. The first big one is the addition of the mouse to the German tanks. Now, if you haven't ever seen what a mouse is, that's a mouse. Now, a lot of people are kind of upset and excited about this because the mouse was a prototype tank. It was the, the end-all of tanks, and it was, it was supposed to be the game changer for Nazi Germany. But it never came to it, with everything that was going on at that time in World War II. To actually produce that in mass numbers would have never happened. It was a little too late. But at the same time, now a lot of people are the people who are naysayers of the mouse say, well, it never saw combat, it was only a production, yada yada. Well, there's a lot of tanks in War Thunder right now that never saw combat, and that were never really mass produced. Maybe in small numbers, but never really mass produced. And you know what, that's not a big deal, because if you realistically look at this, how many tanks in the world have seen combat? Not many, if you think about it. I mean, the Abrams has only seen a handful of tank-on-tank engagements. And that's of the modern era. I mean, on the modern era, you could pretty much count on your single hand tanks that have seen tank-on-tank combat. Now, going anywhere from Korea to Vietnam to World War II, that number gets a little larger, but still, at the same time, how are you going to continue to add stuff in if you only go by that number, if it's seen combat or not? Same thing with the prototypes. There were a lot of really cool tank prototypes out there. And you know what? They may have not seen combat, they may not have been in production, but they still were in a working phase of development, at least. And to see them come to life and, pitted against, the what-if scenarios. What if, this tank was in and went against this tank? I think it'd be pretty cool. I don't have a problem with the mouse. A lot of people, and this is a very lucky break for me, honestly, very lucky. But a lot of people complain about Germany. Right now, Germany is the only opposing force on the tank battles because you have the American and Russian tanks. Well, the Americans and Russians were allies against Germany. Until Japanese tanks come out, Germany is going to be the main opposing force. Now, Germany right now, I mean, the biggest tank you can get up to is the King Tiger or the Jagdtiger. And going against T-54s, 103s, M41s, those are very late model tanks. You're getting into Korea right there, or early Vietnam. I mean, some of them were even around for Vietnam. Against World War II 1945 tanks. They're a bit at a disadvantage, which is why I think the mouse is going to fit in pretty well, because the mouse, at least until the Leopard 1 comes out, which they definitely have said they're going to do a Leopard 1, which is cool, because then you're starting to get into that Korea, that era right there. But the mouse kind of adds some end-game oomph to Germany. And it will allow it to fight better against the IS-4s and everything like that. Now, is it going to be overpowered? We don't know yet. We'll have to see. But the armor and the gun on it were definitely a formidable force, and I think it can definitely hold its own in Tier 5 or above, or whatever. You never know what's going to happen, but it's definitely going to be one of those nice. And, would I like to see a lot of these Germany prototype tanks? Yeah, I would, because they had some really cool designs. Like, you get into some really crazy stuff when you start going into the prototypes, which was cool. And a lot of people are going to say, well, World of Tanks did it. Well, you got to look at it this way. War Thunder is directly competing with World of Tanks. What's one of the bigger draws of World of Tanks? It's the prototype, the mouse, those kind of tanks. I can see this as a move to directly compete with World of Tanks, and I actually think a lot of World of Tanks players are going to come over and try out the mouse because they're going to want to see it in the War Thunder world, because the War Thunder world is a lot more in depth, not just a lot more in depth than World of Tanks. World of Tanks is arcadey. War Thunder is as realistic and sim as you can really get it, and it's a lot of fun at the same time. Now, one of the other big additions that I like tank-wise is the new physics with the ground. Now, what that being said is that the ground is now going to move under your tracks. So when you go onto grass, your weight's going to directly affect how deep you sink in, your traverse speed, your movement speed. Asphalt, it's going to be important to start moving on asphalt. I can see this being a huge tactical thing, because especially with the mouse, which is a 100-ton monster. I mean, it's just insane. I can see this definitely being a new game changer, because you're not going to be able to drive through the mud that you were once driving through. You're going to have to, I mean, I can see heavy tanks getting stuck left and right. And this is going to kind of cordon off areas to certain tank types. You're going to have the light tanks going through the areas where the heavy tanks can't go to try to get a tactical advantage. And that's going to be a really cool feature. And here's, a few pictures of that just in the works. And it's going to be a really, really cool thing. I really like how it's going. I think it's going to be really cool, and I want to see how that's going to change the gameplay. Now, on the air side of things, the B-29 is finally being added. I know a lot of people have been waiting patiently for the B-29. They're working on the B-29. If you've never seen a B-29, this is a B-29. It is not really going to be much of a game changer. Its bomb load is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I mean, ridiculous capabilities with its load, but you're going to be kind of falling into the jet territory tiering wise with this thing, and how it's going to stand up against MiGs and Me-262s. Not really sure. We're going to have to see. I would like to see how the service ceiling of it plays into effect. Not saying that you're going to get the chance to actually reach that service ceiling, but I would like to see what would happen if you brought the service ceiling into full effect. But I think its bomb load is definitely going to be an issue, at least. I could see a lot of these ground strike missions being completed very quick if the entire team was in B-29s. But it's definitely, it's going to be a nice addition. It's definitely something that a lot of people have been waiting for. The B-29 has been one of those things I've been waiting for personally since the game came out. I've been waiting for a B-29. I really think, that was one of the best bombers of World War II. It was just great. And no, they're not adding an atomic bomb to it. I think that'd be kind of a cool, maybe user-made mission, to where, if the B-29 drops its one single bomb, maybe not an atomic bomb, but, at that time, the mission ends. It's game over. That team won. I think that'd be a cool mission. And, maybe even Gaijin could do something mission-wise with that for, like, an event. Just redo Nagasaki or Hiroshima. I think that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of a cool event. It might, ruffle some feathers, but I think it'd be kind of a cool event, honestly. On the note of bombers, the Focke-Wulf 200 Condor is being added in, which is the multi-engine long-range bomber for the Germans. And that's actually a huge game changer, because the Germans have really been lacking good bombers. And I think this is definitely a nice addition, and, just nailing people left and right. The IS-1 is one of my favorite Russian tanks for its tier. Great tank. But I think this is definitely a game changer for the German side, because they've needed this bomber for a while now. Now, there are a bunch of different variants of it. I think they're doing just the C1 version. I think so. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I actually like how a lot of these big long-range bombers are being added in. I think it's a really cool feature. And it's going to be an absolutely cool thing. They're also adding in the T-26E1 premium tank, which is actually pretty cool because it's got the 90mm gun, better armor, and now it's going to be a premium, so you have to buy it. People were not really too keen on buying stuff, but at the same time, you do have to support the game. It is a free-to-play model. How else are you going to make money? I definitely am kind of excited about that. I like the T-26 series. I think it's going to be kind of cool to see in action, but it's definitely one of those things. War Thunder is an ever-evolving game, and I really like the steps they're taking. They definitely listen to the community a lot more, especially with these events, with the No HUD events. I know a lot of people are loving this stuff, and including myself. I think it's just a complete game changer, and I think it's awesome. But, as War Thunder evolves, you're going to start seeing a lot more come out, and the updates are getting larger. I mean, the updates are kind of getting more regular, to where they're adding more and more stuff, which is really cool. And once we actually get that in game, I'll start covering that in game, and see what you guys think about it, and kind of a sense of how it actually plays out in the game. But I'm definitely looking forward to this next update in War Thunder. If you guys are interested in more War Thunder, let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.